hills and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shortbangers. I'm Matty, joined tonight by Colin. Colin, how you doing?
Good, very good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. And also, star of Top Flight Time Machine and the Reset podcast, Sam Delaney. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming on. It was just listening to Top Flight Time Machine earlier on, and the wee story that you told about the woman whose name I forget, who offered to fight you on the first day of the job.
Oh, the comedian, Kirsten
Oh,
O'Brien.
yeah, Kirsten O'Brien, yeah.
So
yeah, she's a formidable woman.
It made me laugh, but it reminded me. So in my younger days, I worked at McDonald's. Right? So I came out of school, worked at McDonald's, as a lot of young folk do. And there was a wee Indian lad that worked beside us called Naveen. And Naveen was about the height of Yoda, but he was into ninjutsu and stuff. So he was arguing with the boys. So there was a guy who, and again, to coin a Top Flight Time Machine phrase, is a proper Lampard.
Yeah.
That worked there and was saying, yeah, but your ninjutsu would be shit against a gun. And Naveen says, okay, well, he says, we'll try it, will we? And he stood at sort of one side of the kitchen, and the Lampard stood at the other side with a sauce gun, and he had these big guns for shooting like Big Mac sauce, etc. And he says, just try and pick the gun up and hit me with sauce. Like, that's all you need to do. The guy kind of got his hand on the gun. It was like a Western.
Yeah.
And he got it so far, and the field just out of nowhere, he's like roundhouse kicked the gun out of his hand and stopped with his foot right in the boy's throat like that. And we were like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever.
Fucking hell, that's amazing. I thought it was going to end with him just like falling on his ass or something.
No. It was just, everybody was like, yeah, beauty. Anyway,
I bet
right.
no one fucked with him.
No, and you would never have thought, like, he was the most placid and peaceful wee guy. I think he's like a music tutor or something now.
Right.
I don't know if he is still a ninja.
Kung Fu music teacher. Amazing. Yeah.
Right, we'll put some time on the clock and we'll get straight into the questions. So the first question tonight comes from Alan Shaw, who says, one for Shortbangers. Jesus allegedly walked on water. Was it slippy underfoot? Also, was he cheating and it was just a puddle?
Well, I've given my thoughts on this before. I think Jesus was an illusionist. And I've said it before. Like, Dynamo's repeated all of the good tricks out of the Bible.
The best ones, the classics.
All of them, and including walking on water, because he's done it on the Thames in one of his shows. So I don't know how they do it, because they put something in the water and they walk on it. So assuming it would be slippy, but it's an illusion. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. I mean, I've always thought Jesus, I don't know whether he was on the make or what his agenda was, but he's definitely, I mean, illusion. If you look at your Dynamos or your Derren Browns or even your Paul Daniels, this wasn't like high-tech shit that required modern day technology, right? It was sleight of hand, distraction, suggestibility. This is not stuff that was invented in the modern age. It's been going around for years, but the difference is back in Jesus' times, there was no internet for people to sort of dissect this stuff or say, oh, by the way, watch out, there's a geezer going around with a beard saying that he can walk on water and all sorts, claiming to be the son of God. If he comes round, don't involve yourself with him. Yeah. People just took people as they found them more. And so if he was going around with all these like tricks and illusions up his sleeve, it would have gone a lot further than it would in today's more cynical times.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think bollocks.
You think the Virgin Mary set Jesus up for that kind of life by her story about how she got pregnant?
Yeah, she was a bullshitter, and she raised him as a bullshitter too.
Yeah, set him up to fail, didn't she?
They were just a fucking bullshit family. And these days, if they were like living on your estate, everyone would know. They'd be like, oh, there's this fucking bullshit family at number 11. She claims she fucking got pregnant without ever having it off with a bloke, and the kid goes around talking about fucking turning water into wine, right? They are full of shit.
Yeah, somebody need to write a book about it.
One day they will. Ewan McAleese says, if you could have a fight with any band in history, who would it be and what would start it?
Ooh. Probably.
So I'm picking the fight here.
Oh, are you starting it?
No, that's what the question is, isn't it? Because I'm thinking Liam Gallagher would start it, wouldn't he? But
he would.
But I bet Sam's got better stories than that for people that he's fans that you fight.
Weirdly, I don't know why, but there was that band McFly, right? And I don't know why, but I really didn't like them. I can't even remember why now, because now I'm thinking, they seem like nice lads, right? Maybe it's because I'm older, and now it's like, they're chill. But at the time, I don't know, like when you were talking earlier about the music teacher ninja, right? It sort of made me think of, like, we used to do this on Top Flight. It's just like man fantasies, right? Where you kill idle time by just like imagining scenarios whereby you beat a load of people up to be heroic, or you save someone, you save a beautiful woman or a baby from a burning train or something, right? And all men have them, and you just do it to pass the time, don't you? Sometimes. I mean, in London, I'm often, not so much anymore, but when there was more terror sort of paranoia in London, every time I was on a train, I'd be thinking, well, if he's a terrorist, that geezer over there, I'll be ready. So as soon as he starts like trying to do something, I'll just fucking get up and fucking spark him and then take his gun off him. And then I'll be on the news because someone will film it on their phone. Right. So that's quite common to me and probably to other folks. But with McFly, I had a beating up McFly fantasy when I was in my 20s, but it was quite detailed, right? I don't know why, but I had this detailed sort of kind of weird fantasy or daydream that I was at an event and McFly were there and they were rude to my girlfriend, right? They were insulting towards her because they were so arrogant. And they thought, we're McFly, we can do anything. We're above the law. We're bigger than the Beatles and Jesus, right? I think that was what I didn't like about them at the time. I thought, you're a pissant pop band, but you're getting a bit big for your boots. And so I had this fantasy that they were rude to my girlfriend and that I just had to beat up all three of them in quite a public setting. So I wouldn't stand by that now. I wouldn't be bothered to beat up McFly or fight McFly now, but that's the closest I've got to an answer. That I did once genuinely carry with me for a couple of years, a fantasy about beating up McFly. And also, I would say to both of you as well, I don't know if you remember them, but if you look them up now, if you Googled them, like from their heyday, which I think was like the early noughties, yeah, I would stand by that they've got very punchable faces.
They not team up. They teamed up with Busted in the later years, which
yeah,
makes it worse.
They were all like a bunch of mates. Yeah, Busted, McFly, they're all in it together. I'm sure they were nice, really. They were doing their best, weren't they? They were just trying to make a living, really. I did once semi fall out with One Direction, right? It was at the Pride of Britain Awards. And God knows, if I'd had a fight with a boy band at the Pride of Britain Awards, it would have really brought shame upon me. So thank God it didn't get to that. But I was working at Heat and we were obviously, One Direction had just come out. And we were obsessed with them on the magazine, right? Because the readers loved them. And obviously it's this like sort of young, good looking boy band have just come on the scene. So we're sticking them on the cover and running all sorts of stories about them and their love life. Most of them, I can honestly look back and say now in the fullness of time and statute of limitation, were probably totally fucking made up, right? Whatever. We've all got to make a living, right? And one of them, and I saw them at this awards, and I went over and said, "Oh, hi, Sam from Heat." I think I've met him before because they used to sometimes come into the office, these pop bands, to sort of like ingratiate themselves. And your man, is it Zane?
There was one.
Yeah, Zane. Yeah. They'd had a few drinks from what I could tell. Fair enough. I was happy for them. They were living it like they'd only just been blessed with fame. So they're having a lovely time. And I think I was drunk as well. And they were like, hi, and they've been really friendly. Apart from him, he went, hi, what's this bollocks you're saying about us in your magazine, on cover your magazine? And I went, are you serious? And he went, yeah. And I said something along the lines of, think yourself fucking lucky we're putting you in the magazine, because that's what's made you fucking famous, right? And he took exception to that, understandably. So it was not just thing of me to say. And then the one who seemed to be in charge was the one who has since gone on to have a kid with Cheryl Cole. Not Niall, maybe it's Liam, I don't know. But he seemed to be the leader. He seemed to be the leader, and he intervened and played the diplomat and settled it all down. But I did feel like that was probably the closest I'd got to having to have to fight a pop star, was Zayn from. I mean, who knows? He might have just battered me. I mean, he was certainly the younger man, quite possibly fitter, certainly in those days. Yeah. So that would have been shameful.
It is Liam. He's the one that done that mad accent after the Oscars.
Oh my God! Yeah,
talking about the Will Smith thing, and it was cringeworthy stuff.
It was not just the accent; it was the shit he was saying. I mean, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I think that's what the conclusion was.
Yeah.
Who are you fighting, Colin?
I think, I don't know if I'm being sweet here, but the busted guys. Actually, I thought he was talking about, Sam was talking about when he's talking about it, because I always mix those guys up.
Yeah, they're similar.
But the guys in Busted got on my nerves, like the guy that writes the books, Tom.
Yeah.
Writes the kids' books. He gets on my nerves a bit when I watch him on TV.
Yeah, there's a smugness to them that I thought I'd put behind me, but now that we're talking about it, it's all getting stirred up again. You know what I mean?
I'd quite like to leather Chumbawamba.
Oh yeah.
How many times do we get back up? Just put it to the test. Okay, next question. 150k on Hanlon Hill said, a fellow Speedo Heat asks, would Sam accept a hair transplant of his pubes to his head if 100% success is guaranteed?
No, I'm totally on board with baldness, to be honest. I've got no interest in hair transplants. I'm pretty certain I'm much more attractive bald than I was with hair.
Big eyes.
Yeah, big eyes, bald heads, clear hearts, no fear. That's my motto that I will have tattooed on me. That's what I tell my son when he needs to know anything about women. Big eyes, bald heads, clear hearts, no fear. That's all you need to know about women, son. Trust me. Yeah, so I've got no interest in pubes or any other hair on my head. I really don't. It was hard when I was going bald. That was quite a hard time for me emotionally. But once I became bald, I've never looked back. Fucking love it. Love it.
You're going through that just now, Colin, aren't you?
No, it's kind of. I used to have hair, like most people, and but there was a holiday photo I saw, and I had it sort of spiked up. And I thought, holy fuck, look how far that's going back.
Yeah.
I thought it just needs all to come off. So it's down to the. But I used to have it quite short anyway, but I did try and style it for a while. And it was a holiday photo that threw me with the size of the forehead in it.
Yeah, I reckon I had about 8 years of basically spending a long time brushing my hair just so to cover up the worst bald patches. And in the end, it just drives you mad. You feel embarrassed, you feel ashamed, you feel self-conscious all the time. And you just got to get it done. I did it on a whim, like when I was driving along. I used to go on Sky News in the morning and do the paper reviews, and I was increasingly, with each passing week, getting more and more like quite mean tweets after I'd appeared, referring to my receding hairline, and people going, "Fucking hell, give it up, mate. Just get your head shaved," and all this. And it started to get to me. I was getting pretty upset, right? Because I just felt so self-conscious. It was like I didn't want to go on the telly anymore, because it was like the main thing, the main response I would get, no matter what I'd said or anything, it was always about the state of my barnet. And I read this tweet. I was in a taxi on the way to an office, and I read this tweet, and it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was particularly mean, and I leant forward to the cabbie, and I said, I told him a barber's that I knew nearby. Actually, it was one that I'd never been to before, but I knew we were near it. And I said, take me there instead. And he said, oh, okay. And he took me there, and I just got out, walked in and said, shave it all off. And that was it. Never looked back. Sorry, there's not much funny about that story, but it's a story. It's a story that I think there'll be people, younger men than me, struggling with the emotional turmoil of going bald, wondering whether or not they should get a pube transplant onto their head, as has been suggested right here. And I'm saying, fuck it, lads, just shave it off.
Yeah,
You're shaving your pubes.
I don't go in for shaving pubes. I've talked about this before on my podcast. I don't know if you lads know, but I mean, how old are both of you? About my age, aren't you?
Yeah, 44.
Right. So I don't know if you lot know this, but the youngsters now all shave their pubes. It's standard. It's as standard as shaving your face, right? And I didn't know this until about 5 years ago, when in the office where I was working, there was a few people younger than me, some in their 20s, some in their early 30s, casually talking about pube shaving. And I went, what the fuck are you talking about? Because to me, to my generation, it's like really like a mad thing to be discussing. Be like, you wouldn't just in the office casually be talking about anal bleaching, would you? Like, no. Oh, yeah, I bleached my arsehole last night. But that's what it sounded like. And they were like, what are you talking about? Don't you shave your pubes? And I burst out laughing, right? And they were looking at me deadpan like, what, do you seriously not shave pubes? Like, of course I fucking don't shave my pubes. And it was then that I realized everyone's at it. Everyone is at it. But I think and I hope that I don't think many married men over the age of like 40 are at it, as far as I know. Apologies if either of you two do it, because you're looking at me a little bit weird.
No. It's been legitimised now, though, because I mean, like the manscaping stuff and all that. Like their club are sponsored by that. Like comes up on the big screens at the games. Like get yourself a ball shaver and that. You know, get deodorants for your sacks and stuff. You like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not judging people who do it. I suppose I've just got no interest. I mean, I suppose I don't need to. I mean, if you're on the dating scene, then maybe people expect it. But there's no way my wife's the only person who's going to see my pubes. And I think if I start shaving them, she'd get a bit suspicious. She'd go, what the fuck's all this? You know, what's it look like? I've had a fucking shave, haven't I? She'd go, nah, this is fucking weird. I don't know. It looks pure midlife crisis stuff. So no, not for me.
Okay, right. Next question, also from 150k on Hanlon Hill, said if Sam could control Brian McFadden's actions and thoughts through scientific means, what would they have him do to get the biggest laugh?
Oh, Brian McFadden, what would be the funniest thing I could get him to do? I don't know, like maybe get him to sort of like fight a dog or something like that, like publicly, you know.
What's the story with McFadden like? Is there a history there or something? What's the?
No, I don't know. No.
Just a random question.
Just a random one. Yeah, I'll probably get him to have a fight, but with quite a small dog. Do you know what I mean? Quite a serious. No, I don't want the dog to be injured. I wouldn't mind if McFadden was. Not that I've got anything against him, but it'd be funny, wouldn't it?
I feel like the idea of picking the fight first, especially if the dog wasn't particularly interested at first.
Yeah,
you just shouting it.
You'd goad the dog into a fight.
Dog's just like, fuck off, leave me alone.
I think the baked potato thing would be good to see, the one that the guy who's 17 done. Right? If you're going to line something up to happen, actually see somebody leaning out a car and falling under it.
Yeah.
Under the influence of baked potatoes.
He ate 8 tuna baked potatoes, didn't he? And then he ran himself over in his own Range Rover. Legend.
Fats Prickus, he asked, has Sam seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah. Is that a trick question?
It comes up every week, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a trope.
Okay.
Guinness 2022 said, who has the authority to designate Easter as a fixed date so it's easier to plan holidays? We simply wouldn't put up with Christmas or New Year moving from the 25th or the 31st.
Oh, it's the
Easter's a
Queen,
funny
isn't
one.
it?
They do. Is it the Queen? Does
It's got to be
she
the
decide
Queen.
when Easter is?
Yeah, she does it every year on a fucking whim to fuck with us. Like everything she
Like a wee
does, is just,
tombola.
everything she does is to fuck with us, and she does it. I can fucking guarantee that she'll do it while sat on fucking Expedia or Apodo or one of those travel sites, and she'll work out. She'll want to announce it, and she'll go, look at this, to her butler. She'll go, look at this, right? As soon as this gets announced, watch the fucking flight prices go berserk on that week, right? And she gets a kick out of it, because she's been, everyone's like, oh, it's her birthday today, and everyone's like, oh, the Queen's birthday. I mean, who the fuck gets excited over a stranger's birthday, whoever that stranger might be? And what they don't understand is she has been trolling all of us her whole fucking life successfully. You could say almost gaslighting us. And one of the biggest coups that she has ever fucking pulled off is that she just decides whimsically every year when fucking when Easter's going to be, to amuse
Is it March?
herself.
Is it April? What is it? I know. You also
Yeah.
said earlier on, I heard you saying that she got Jermaine Janus to present the.
She's asked for him for when
Yeah.
she dies. She's asked that he presents the coverage.
Yeah.
Right. Again, this is just a trolling exercise by the Queen. She knows he's a dope with nothing original to say, and she's thinking, yeah, one last fucking piss take from her Madge. I'm gonna get Ginas to fucking present the live coverage, and it's gonna be rolling non-stop for 48 hours.
I know. That'll be
Especially
fucking
because she'd
horrendous.
already promised it to Lineker, but she's not told her that she's not following that through.
Nah.
Raymond asks, if you could dig a hole anywhere in the world, where would it be? Colin?
Oh, I'm going to leave it to the digging expert. I'm not.
My
I'd
dog
rather fill
started
holes
digging.
in than my dog. I was just going to say.
Since he's had his balls cut off,
Your
which
dog.
just last week, he started digging holes in the. I don't know if he's looking for them, but he's digging holes in the garden.
It's interesting that it was just the balls being removed that sparked it, isn't it? I thought all dogs like digging just it anyway, but it's interesting that being castrated was his trigger.
But they've never asked about it before. Like he would just go in the garden for a piss and a shit and a bit of runabout. But now he
Must be like a frustration thing.
You're led to believe that dogs are always burying shit, aren't you? Like burying bones and whatnot. But maybe that's a myth. But that's more of a practical dig. I mean, I'm more of a I dig for digging's sake. There are people who dig for a practical reason. Do you know what I mean? Because they want to bury something or hide something, what have you. Discover something even. Maybe they're looking for something down there. But for me, it's just the digging alone is what I find fulfilling and satisfying. So I don't care what's down there, and I'm not planning on putting anything in the hole. I just want to fucking keep going down and down and down and down. I just don't know. It's just feels like an end in itself, doesn't it? I mean, if it got somewhere, I mean, my biggest ever digging project was that I wanted to dig a hole from Chiswick in West London to Disney World in Florida. And I never made it, but it didn't really matter because the project was there in my mind. And I can tell you that when I was about 8 or 9, I genuinely believed that I would make it. I didn't understand anything about engineering, obviously.
How far did you get?
Oh, we got about maybe 3 foot deep. That was it.
Chiswick.
In Chiswick, but the land that we dug on, and probably in answer to the question, if I could dig anywhere, I probably would go back to the same spot if it's there, because it was like municipal ground. I think you'd call it that. Like when you're walking along the street and there's a bit of there's a area just by the side of the pavement with some bushes and earth. It's not a park, but it's not no one's garden. Do you know what I mean? It's just there. And I assume those places are under the authority of the local council. But we had that. We just called it the bushes. And my mate would knock round from next door and he'd go, do you want to go over the bushes? Right. Which made it sound like we were going on an adventure. But the bushes were literally 2 yards from our fucking front door. I go, yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll meet you over there in a minute. I'll just go and get my spoon. I'd go and get my digging spoon, which was a dessert spoon from my mum's cutlery drawer. And then I'd go out and we'd just meet in the bushes and just fucking dig there on our tunnel to Disney World. And I can honestly say it was the happiest times of my life.
I would quite like to do if I had to dig somewhere. So I would go somewhere where it's been meticulously measured, like a building site or an archaeological dig. Do you know where they're doing it for a purpose?
Yeah.
And just fuck with it a bit. Particularly the building, because folk build houses just to make fucking loads of money, and they're already like dead rich anyway, property developers. So when they've got it all set out and the foundations are set, just so maybe just drop it an extra half a foot, so all their houses are a bit off. Just a mystery stick. That's what I would do for that.
Yeah. It'd be good if you were like, if there was these luxury flat developments they put everywhere now, which I've got a real problem with. I hate luxury flats. There's so many of them. I never see anyone living in them. And I've got a strong suspicion that the only people who do live in them are sexual perverts, right?
Or Russians.
Yeah. And it's just a bad vibe about those places. And I would like to just fuck with the foundations a little bit in the way that you're suggesting, in a way that's imperceptible to the eye until the structure is complete and some fuckers moved in there and it's like it's just creaking and wobbling and it's just a bit off balance. It messes with them whenever they're trying to cut their cocaine, which these luxury flat people do, right? It's always sort of rolling off the table and that would mess with them.
Yeah, or when they try to get the measuring jug and they lean down to eye level to see.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's always squint.
Yeah, so it'd always fuck with their recipes. Yeah. They'd be like, why is my pancake batter so fucking runny? I'm sticking to Jamie Oliver's recipe. It's just too fucking runny. It won't fucking work properly in the pan. And they will just be there tapping the side of our noses. That's it. Eat up, dickhead. Eat up your fucking runny pancakes, you fucking luxury flat pervert nonce.
Jake Gapper asks, Prince sounded pretty enthusiastic about partying like it's 1999, whereas S Club 7 claimed there ain't no party like an S Club party. They can't both be right, so who has the better parties, Prince or S Club?
Well, it's got to be Prince, hasn't it? I mean, can you imagine? Prince's parties would have been highly sexual, wouldn't they? S Club probably had decent parties, to be fair. I never wanted to fight S Club. I always quite liked them. But it'd be a like cheese and pineapple on cocktail stick situation, wouldn't it?
It's still alive though, which is a bit of an advantage, isn't it? Like,
yeah, true.
Not being dead does add to the party vibe.
Yeah, but it did. It would be a cheaper thing. The S Club would be cheap. They never made much money, did they?
It'd be Alco Pops and it'd be Alco Pops, Tizer, cheese and pineapple, maybe some Monster Munch in a bowl. Do you know what I mean? And it would be dreary. They'd have 2 CDs, which would be their own greatest hits.
And a now.
Yeah, and a now compilation. Yeah. And everyone, it would just be awkward. And like that one, the one who always looked like 20 years older than the other ones, Paul Dirty Catamo, I think his name was. He'd be like really drunk and being inappropriate towards the girls. And it'd be awkward. Whereas the Prince one, even dead Prince, can you imagine if he was sort of, like they do with like, what do you call it when you put a body, you make it all look nice, even though it's dead? Embalmed.
Embalmed, yeah.
They embalmed Prince and put him in a presentation coffin with all purple velvet around him and put him at the centre of this party. So we could all go and lay a flower down to pay our respects and then party in the manner that we would imagine Prince would have liked us to, which would have been funky and sexual. And then presumably the Prince estate would pick up the bill. So it would be much more lavish than the S Club party.
Love that. It could maybe, instead of a purple suit, make him a kind of glittery one, and you could have him rotating from the ceiling like a disco ball.
Yeah, like a Cuban glitter ball. Yeah.
Right, we're out of time for the episode. That fucking flew by. If you want to hear more, we will have a Shortbangers extra for subscribers. You can subscribe at longbangers.hubwave.net. Sam, thanks very much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Colin, thanks for your time. We'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink what I know.